Alright, now I'm going back to the YouTube. And I do see the chat window to the right, but I have it kind of rigged. Is what I actually have it doing. We'll wait for the first couple people to join here. No notification? Well, if you're watching, we have been testing a couple different live streams all night. Basically what we've been working on has been trying to get the SM57 actually working to where it doesn't sound like I'm in a bean can. And we've also been trying to get the guitar to go through the AG08 into OBS to where YouTube can actually hear me talking and the guitar. So I see good so far. So it looks like, I really can't tell. I'm going to move around the window up here. I have minimized part of the YouTube streaming window. So while I attempt to get this thing set up to where we can actually see the stream, and I clicked in studio and it says the stream is open, 2 viewers, chat rate is 1, views is 1, but I still technically don't have a chat window. And I'm not really sure why. The only way I get a chat window is if I have the large window open, which is fine. So it looks like we have 2 viewers. I'm assuming that's Linnell. Alright, I'm going to set the guitar down. And I see we have 4 people in the chat. And basically, I want everyone to kind of give me a... Turn the headphones off here, or take them off. On the signal quality of my voice into the SM57, and then also how well the guitar sounded through OBS. Is it muddy? Is it distorted? Is it too loud? This is our first live stream using a halfway decent camera and a good microphone, which may or may not work for live streaming. It's an instrument mic. And then also my signal from the guitar into the AG08. Hey, Kurt Inscale said, Mikey says it all looks good and sounds good. Well, that's good. I was really worried about the microphone here. It's not in camera, which is kind of strange because the whole time I was setting it up, you could see the microphone. It's just a basic Shure SM57. It is one of the betas, so it is a little hotter than a stock SM57. Now, I was curious how well it was going to work live streaming. It's really not designed for that. It's an instrument mic. And now we're using a Mevo camera. We still only have one camera. Each week I've been trying to get the live stream to be a little bit better. And last week's live stream, we didn't have a full screen. We had a small screen. So hopefully you guys have a full screen. We actually have guitar, decent microphone. So I think we're set. And the only reason I come on is I think a lot of people joined a couple minutes later, and we were just kind of testing the system to see how well it was going to work. So I think everything's working now. And since we're live, we can look at the chat and see what everyone's up to. It's Friday night. So what you guys been doing? You're gonna have to speak up. Oh, yeah. Well, I did have a ton of help. And if you guys look, I'm really bad at, Devastator. He got online last night with me through Skype. And if I move the Mevo down, it'll freeze up. So Devastator and I worked for about 2 or 3 hours last night on Skype, starting live streams, and then I was sharing the screen on Skype, and we were going through all the settings. And there's a ton of settings in OBS. Now, if you're an OBS user, you're probably going, wow, you're not really doing anything fancy. I'm tickled pink that the camera's working, the microphone's working, and we've got channel 3 and 4 working. So, but we didn't get it all done last night. We actually had to get online tonight as well and work through Skype. And that was the first 3 live streams. I don't know if anyone clicked in on those. We were gradually fixing everything. So I think it's working. And I couldn't have done it without Devastator really helping me get to that point. He's been a trooper 2 nights in a row helping out. So that's good. May have to throw a little blue wrench his way. It's a lot of work. You're probably going, no, I don't want that job. So what have you guys been doing? I see Kurt Inscale's in here, and of course Linnell, and I see there's 6 people. So if you guys want to chime in, let me know who you guys are. This is something that I want to do once a week. Now Friday night is not going to be our night. We're going to always stream on Saturdays. But since we did so much work, Devastator and I, the last 2 nights, I figured we might as well do a little live stream. Now that we have this going, what I would really like to do, and we tried it earlier, but we had a feedback issue. We had Skype up and OBS. It didn't work too well. So I think through Discord, we might be able to get Devastator and some other people on here and do a split screen, and then they can talk about what's going on behind the scenes. That might be down the road, guys, but like I said, I just want to thank him for helping me out the last 2 nights. That's awesome. He says it looks and sounds good. I don't know if my chat's moving the way it's supposed to be moving or not, but just so you guys know, the guitar right here, this is a Firefly Les Paul. It's an FFLP with a Floyd Rose on it. It is one of the first production runs of that guitar. Mike, one of our channel moderators, sent that to me, and I was going to review the guitar and compare it to the Epiphone Alex license model. It's not the Epiphone. I'm just going to be honest with you. The Epiphone is a better guitar. I want to qualify that, though. You can buy 4.5 of these guitars, maybe even 5 of these guitars, for the price of the Epiphone. It is so surprising how well that Firefly LP with the Floyd Rose plays. The tremolo system actually works really well. It does have the standard Firefly stock problems. The locking nut's made out of the soft pot metal. So if you buy one, count on doing some upgrades. You're definitely going to have to upgrade the nut on it. The tuners don't feel too bad. The tremolo is surprisingly good for the stock bridge. Time will only tell how well the knife edges hold up on the bridge. 6 months, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, it might start falling off on the tune as the knife edges on those start wearing. But right now, for $260, you really can't beat it if you want a Les Paul with a Floyd Rose. Some people say that's sacrilege. You should never put a Floyd Rose on a Les Paul guitar. It actually plays pretty well. It's back here because we're going to do some strap locks on it tomorrow. So we're going to do some strap locks, and we actually have an unboxing to do. You can't, it's actually behind me here, the big box by the door. That's actually a case. He wanted a case to protect the guitar, so we've ordered a case for it. So I'm going to do an unboxing on the case and hopefully get that video up this weekend, along with a short video on how to install strap locks, on your guitar. So hopefully that'll be something cool that you guys can watch. And we are going to do a live stream tomorrow night as well. And Linnell is sticking her head out the kitchen here, so. Oh, well, Kurt, you have center front stage right now. This channel is about information. If you have that exact same guitar, we like people to post on what they've encountered, problems, whatever it is. Put in the chat what problems you've had, and if you haven't had any problems, put on it what you like about the guitar for its price point. That really helps other people. When Guitar Gardens reposts that guitar up for sale, they're going to go back and look at your comments, and it gives them a frame of reference on whether or not they want to purchase the guitar. So it's just not my opinion as a YouTube reviewer. I may get a good one, I can get a bad one. So the comment section below from people that have the product, that really sums up the video. Especially if it's a good review and everyone's coming in saying they're having positive results with the product that they got from Guitar Garden. I'm going to go back and read the chat here. And he said he's going to replace the bridge. So I'm going to guess you're going to put a Godot on it. Or you might be a die-hard Floyd Rose fan, and you might be going for an FR1000 or a special. I would say the FR1000 is probably equivalent or a little under the Goto. It is the harder metal base, but I hear really, really good things about the Goto, and it's going to be less money, I think, than the FR1000. I'm not too sure about the post spacing on the Godot. I'm pretty sure it's a direct swap to the Floyd Rose. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've seen people doing it, so it must be a direct swap. I'm waiting on Kurt to put in there and see what he's going to actually do to it. I'm going to guess Goto. As far as me, if you look to the, well, it's not in camera view, is it? I messed the camera up. My Kramer Beretta is right next to the Firefly. So I was playing that earlier, and then I was playing, this is the guitar we just reviewed the other day. Nice guitar. And the sound coming out of this guitar is awesome. Now I can't hear it unless I put my headphones on. So I'm going to stick my headphones on real quick. Yes, anytime you do a bridge replacement, you don't want to have dissimilar metals. So the base plate of the tremolo, that metal and the post need to be similar. That way one doesn't wear out the other, if that makes sense. So if you put a cased hardened bridge plate in and you use the stock posts, those posts are going to wear extremely fast. So whatever tremolo you get, make sure you swap out the post hardware. If it doesn't thread in, you can pull the inserts out and reinstall your inserts. But definitely run your new posts. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sound, if you wasn't here earlier on this guitar we reviewed. We did not do an actual sound test on the review. So I personally think this guitar has a pretty mean sound. These are the stock pickups. This guitar is 100% stock. It's quite mean sounding, and if the quality isn't 100% spot on, this is our first stream with the guitar working. We got some comments earlier. Everyone said it sounded fine. We are not using an amplifier. If you know this channel, you know that I am a 100% tube amp guy. This is not a tube amp. The guitar is literally plugged in to a Line 6 HX Stomp. I'm using an amp simulator and an IR directly into the Yamaha AG08 right to the string. So there's no amplifier. And I apologize for my misplaying. I really shouldn't be playing the guitar. I had an accident at work the other week, and I sliced into my finger pretty bad, so I'm being very cautious on how I'm playing the guitar. I'm trying to only use the tip of my finger, but habit, I want to pull notes with that hand, and I'm having to use my center finger, and I'm really struggling with my damaged finger. I personally think I think Guitar Gardens had this guitar. It was like I think this one was $219 or $209 with shipping. I think I've reviewed a lot of Firefly guitars. This one has the best pickups in it to date. Now my FFMN that I have over here, it has a good sound too. But this particular one, there's something about the pickups in it. They're not harsh sounding. They still have a nice drive and a nice tone to them, but they're not near as harsh sounding as some of the other Firefly pickups that I've played. I kind of like it. It actually also has a really good sustain. Now I will say this, something I've noticed using a modeling, I won't even call it an amp, it's a line 6 stomp. When running a tube amp at 100 decibels and you do that, you can get sustain. Sometimes it'll actually get uncontrollable. Being that I'm using this type system and still being able to get that kind of sustain out of the guitar, that's quite impressive. Just going into a modeling amp, the guitar has nothing. There's no guitar sound in this room. I can hear the guitar in my headphones and that's it. The actual feed is going into the board right out. So it does not have any energy of the room sound coming back into the guitar. That's quite impressive. That's just my opinion. But it's quite impressive for a $219 guitar. Alright, I'm going to get caught back up on the chat here. And hopefully it won't be tomorrow night's chat, but hopefully the chat that we do in the upcoming weekend, my hand will be healed up enough to actually be able to play guitar and, actually do some cool things. Like I said, I've got a pretty bad finger there, but we're guitar players and we want to play guitar. Even though our fingers are damaged, we still want to play. And sometimes that was healed over. I bent the string and I literally pulled, I can't tell which way I'm going, I literally pulled the piece off, the string cut through it. So now I'm probably out another whole week for it to scab back over because I'm stubborn and I want to play guitar. So let's see what the chat has to say. Yep, he's going with the Godot. Almost a Ted Nugent vibe. Yeah. My old thing is there's only 12 notes. There's only so many combinations of those 12 notes. So it doesn't really matter what you write. Those combination of notes have been done 1,000 times before. There's really the old saying, there's nothing new under the sun. It's how you affect the notes. Yes, the way I play it has like a heavier Nugent type sound to it. When I play pull-offs, a lot of people claim that I listened to Eddie Van Halen. I did listen to Eddie Van Halen when I was younger. He was not one of my favorite guitar players. He really wasn't. I was more of an Yngwie player, well, not a player, listener. I liked Yngwie, I liked Steve Vai, Satriani. I listened to more of the, I guess, classical prog type guitar. And Eddie Van Halen, when I was going through school, the David Lee Roth era was kind of out and the Van Hagar era was in. he was still big on the hammer-ons, but I still have that technique. And a lot of it is, I don't know if you guys saw it when I was playing, I don't pick like this. I pick like this. I always have my pointer finger open on the guitar. And that changes your attack on the guitar. So when I'm playing, I have this finger out. If you go back and look at any of my reviews, a couple people have picked up on it. So I have this finger out, I'm playing, I roll the pick. It's already on that center finger. I just roll it into my center finger and I can do my hammer-ons. The finger's already free. I don't have to switch the pick. So as I'm playing, I just bring my center finger up, cup the pick in my hand, and this finger is still open. And I can drop the pick right back to pick. Every little thing you do, your pick angle, how you attack the string, that's going to give you a different sound. I don't really know how Eddie Van Halen held his pick, but I contribute a lot of my tone and my attack and my harmonics to me holding the pick that way. And I could be completely wrong, but I really think a lot of my tone and my attack from playing comes from the pick angle and how my wrist is moving based on my center finger, not this finger. See, if you look, see the arc as it turns? I get more arc down here because I'm closer to the pivot. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So I think it makes a difference. I don't know if anyone else in the chat holds the pick like that. If you do, did someone... I was playing in a bar and there was a band, I'm not going to throw names out, and the guitarist come up to me and he goes, "You got an Eddie vibe, why don't you try holding the pick this way and doing more of a sweep pick?" I never was good at that. I'm just now really starting to get that quick pick attack. But I did pick up on holding the pick that way. And what I found is the angle of the pick to the strings was my problem. Because he was showing me how to get that wrist action. 20 years later, it just hit me one day. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on there. But he showed me that little pick trick and I kind of stuck to it. I'm going to look at the chat here. See if anyone else holds the pick that way. Kurt says played lead for a band for 12 years, then drums. Well, that probably means well you just need a Tascam ADAT, and you don't need a band. You play the drums, then you play the bass, then you play the guitar. Now the question is, can you sing? Because I sound like a dying squirrel when I sing. So that's why I'm still sitting here talking to you guys on a Friday night into a little camera. I was never really good at singing. I learned how to do backups, and I was able to carry my part in the band, and really dependent on my fellow musicians. You don't necessarily have to be good, as long as you can all harmonize together and you're hitting the notes sharply. I don't think you have to have a super talented vocalist. You don't have to have super talented people in the back line. As long as you're working well together and you're playing well together, I think that's key. That's just my thought. Devastator uses thumb, and you do the thumb and middle finger thing? Really? Devastator. Oh, okay. Well, then I'm not some strange alien from Mars, the only person doing it. So there's one other person that does it. Well, I no longer really have my home studio. I wish I still did. I went from a, what was it? It was a Tascam TRS 8. I want to say it was a 1-inch reel-to-reel 8-track. I think it was either 1-inch or 1 1/4. It might have been 3/4 now that I think about it. It wasn't an expensive machine. It was about $6,000 when I bought it. I had that, and then the Elisa's come out with the ADAT, the original blackface ADATs. I bought 2 of those, and of course I lost a track on my analog TSR8, and I lost a track on one of the DATs. But the DATs would optolink together to sync, and then I had 2 SMPTE tracks on those. And I used that up while I was still playing professionally. I sold it all, and now I have a Tascam, I think it's a DP32. It works. It's all I need. I still have my Mayato MIDI sequencer. I've got my Akai MPC61. Still got the Mackie 16 VLZ16 for doing the ADAT thing. Still got compressors, gates, limiters, a couple effects. Got an Eventide, basic stuff, but I don't have my studio anymore. I wish I still had my ADATs or a nice hard disk recorder. I know everyone's going DAWs now. It just took me and Devastator 2 nights to figure out how to hook up a Yamaha AG08 to do a live stream. So I probably have no business getting a DAW and learning how to record through a computer in a DAW. The AG08 was bought because it's a computer interface that's still old school for someone like me. It still has sliders and buttons, something that I can visually see without using a mouse. I think that's what drew me to this particular unit. I'm sure it's a learning curve. I don't know what kind of system that you're running, if you're running a DAW through Pro Tools. And I'm sure it's great. I'm sure once you get used to it, I'm sure it's great. Kurt says, I ran ADATs back in the day. All digital now. So I assume he's doing a DAW because there was I forget who made it. It was a hard disk recorder. It was a 24, because I wanted one. I was going to sell both of my ADATs. I want to say it was a Mackie MD24. It was a rack mount, had 2 hard drives in it. I could be completely wrong with that. I know, I think Akai made one, and I think Tascam made one when they did away with the DA88s, which was the little micro cassette split into 8 tracks. I think they went from that to a hard disk. I could be completely wrong on that. It's been years. 32 channel Carvin into a DAW. Well, Carvin's a good board. Can't go wrong with a Carvin. Yeah, that was something back in the day. I always wanted to order a Carvin guitar. And I'm not comparing it to Sears, but when I was young, you would flip through the Sears catalog, and I remember flipping through the Carvin catalog. You couldn't play it. This was before the internet. There wasn't, I'm going to look at it and just order it, and if I don't like it, I'll send it back. No one did that. You went down to your local guitar store, you played it to see if you liked it. Well, here's Carvin. You want the guitar? Send us the money, we'll send you the guitar. You just looked at a picture of it. And that was the only reason I never bought a Carvin. They had some awesome guitars, Carvin did. I just never had the opportunity to buy one in a store, even used. I have seen some Kiesels, though. They claim those are really nice. Yeah, Kurt, I'd say he's taking his music pretty seriously. My system now, if you guys are familiar with the channel, if you go back and watch my very first videos, I'm not saying I'm a good guitar player now, but I am far better now than I was 2 years ago. Um, I took off a long time, and guitar is one of those things. If you don't do it every day, I mean, to be really good, you have to play every day, at least 5 or 10 minutes a day. Life comes decisions, and I had to make a decision, and work and kids and stuff like that. So music kind of got sat on the back burner. And Linnell just told me one day to start really playing again, and uh, I'm so glad that I started playing, really playing. I used to pick the guitar up maybe once a month, every 2 months, and I would just reminisce on playing how I used to play. And it was an empty void that I had that I didn't even realize that I had. If that makes any, I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I had stopped playing, and I didn't even think I missed it. I would look at my guitar. I had two little hangers on the wall, and I would look at the guitar and say, man, I love my guitar, but I didn't play it. I might pick it up and play for 5 minutes and go, I'm rusty, and put it back up. Now that I'm playing music again, I'm interacting with other musicians, whether it's here on Skype, or well, not Skype now, I'm on YouTube now, or going down to my local music store. That interaction and the playing, it has filled such a void that I didn't even realize was missing for 15 years. Once you're a musician and it's in your blood, I don't think you can ever really get that out of your system. It's something that it's almost like a monster that you got to feed. That's how I'm going to put it. I don't know how you guys feel about it, if you've set the instrument down and then you've picked it back up years later, that feeling you get, or if you've thought about it. That's just my experience. So that's why you'll see, it's not that I was a pretty decent guitar player back in the day, but if you don't play, you lose those skills, you lose the accuracy, you lose the ability to play for 3 hours straight. You forget songs. I've sat down and played and go, oh, we used to play that, and then it comes back to you because you played it in a bar for 1,000 times, 3 nights a week or every weekend. It's like, oh yeah, I used to play that, and you forget. You're like, did we play that? And then there's other times I watch those like, wow, he's playing that wrong, and I'm like, oh, that's right, I know how to play that. It's so funny, but even Linnell goes, well, I've never heard you play that before. And it's just like that, you get the feel, and you'll get that feeling when you pick up a different instrument too. Like you'll pick up a telly, you might get that quacky sound, and it pushes you in a direction to play something different. And you go, oh yeah, I used to play this song. So me coming back into music over the last 2.5, 3 years has really made a change. I continued working on instruments and stuff, but I didn't play. And I know that sounds horrible. You're working on guitars, you're doing this, you're doing that, but you don't play. It becomes a job, if that makes sense. And you got to separate. Sometimes when you take something you love and you make it your job, sometimes you can fall out of love with it. And you got to take a couple steps back and realize what it is that you like about playing. And I took a break from YouTube because of that. I was finding myself so concentrated on making content, reviewing guitars. I would hear people say, you're the best reviewer, you do the most detail. I'm not saying I am or I'm not. I can't imagine that I am. There's a ton of channels on YouTube. There's tons of talent on YouTube. There's other people out there doing detailed reviews too. YouTube just have a tendency of burying small channels. That's what I've seen. There's just so much talent, guys. I took a break from it because I just felt like I was being pushed. YouTube was pushing me. And it started to feel like what I just said. It started to feel like that job. And I wasn't picking up the guitar and playing it for me anymore. I was playing it for a review. And doing reviews, I wanted to play the exact same thing. That way I didn't get a copyright strike from YouTube. I would change this, well, if YouTube hadn't said anything, I'm getting away with playing this, I'm going to stick with it. Some people would say, well, that's a frame of reference. That way, when they watch your video, they can tell what each guitar sounds like. Maybe so, but I still wanted to be able to grab the guitar, pick it up, and just jam. And over the last 2.5 months, guys, I've noticed a big, huge difference. I'm not saying I got a lot better. I guess more confidence in my ability in alternate picking, stripe picking, harmonics. If you notice, I don't have one of those deadeners up here. And I play with a lot of distortion. And if you don't pick and mute with your palm down here correctly, it gets noisy really fast. You get a lot of mud. And I've noticed that I'm getting much more articulate and clean as far as the notes that I want to ring out versus these open strings just buzzing out and doing weird things when I'm playing lead. Hopefully you guys have seen that in my, well, I haven't posted too much. Hopefully in the next couple videos doing reviews, you guys can make a comment on that. I've been working very hard on trying to become cleaner and more precise. Not necessarily faster, just better at doing what I do, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to be Yngwie. I'm not trying to be Eddie Van Halen. I'm not trying to be the guy from Doc and was it Lynch. They're all great guitar players. I just want to be me, and I want to do what I do well and not be sloppy. And the chat's just flying by, and I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Hopefully it's not throwing rocks at your TV camera. Let me see here. We've got... you're still a young guy. I don't know if he's talking about me. Maybe I am. Age is relative, if that makes sense. When I was playing in bars in my 20s, I would say someone my age, I would go, that's an older fella. But I'm sure someone in their 80s is going to probably look at me and go, well, you're a young buck. So I think it's relative. And I also think guitar skills are relative. I didn't really want to teach someone because I'm not a teacher. I'm not a teacher at teaching people guitar. But I guess I've taken on the responsibility of teaching a new guitar player. And I've found myself not really understanding the struggles that I went through when I first picked up the guitar. Just playing basic open chords, basic bar chords. And it has really given me a fresh look and an approach to the guitar, if that makes any sense. So with that going on, I'm like, wow, I remember when I struggled with this, I can do this now. And I remember when I was picking it up, if I could only do these things, I would consider myself a good guitar player. Well, guess what, guys? We've probably got to that stage, and we're still in our little squirrel brains. We're still saying, if I could just get to this stage. It's a never-ending learning process. We always want to get better. That's what we want to do. But at the same time, we want to have fun doing it. And that's why we started doing these live streams, trying to interact and have more fun. It's not just reviewing guitars and taking them apart and being so serious all the time. It's more about going to the music store like we did back in the day and just hanging out. I just need a narrator in the background to read the chat to me, because my little squirrel brain can't talk and read the chat at the same time. I'm working on it, though. I got to scroll down on the chat because you guys have went so far in front of me. Kurt says he's 55. I'm right with you, buddy. I'm right with you. I'm right there. I don't do birthdays. It's just me. I don't really celebrate birthdays. Don't tell anybody, but my woman does, and she still gets me birthday presents. But personally, I don't really celebrate birthdays. I think when we start really thinking about how old we are, I think mentally it slows us down. When we start going, oh, I'm 50 now, and believe me, I have no room to talk. You can ask my significant other. I get up in the morning to go to work. I'm aching, and I always get in the truck to go to work, and I'm like, you know what? I can push through the day. So I think a lot of it is our approach and our feeling to our age. If we, I don't even know how to put it, if that makes sense. If we constantly say we're getting old, I think we're going to get old. Our brain is going to tell our body to get old. That's why I like playing guitar. It keeps me back in the late 80s, early 90s when I was young. The significant other sitting here, it must be important. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Well, that just means I'm 1 year older. Well, no, I think Kurt's going to agree with me on this. Once you turn 50, each birthday you get a year younger. So Kurt and I, we're getting younger. Every year we're getting 1 year younger. Whatever that date is for Kurt, he's 55. Next year he's going to be 54. So, uh-oh. See, did you get Jerry a birthday present? Jerry, you're going to kick her butt. She didn't get you a birthday present. He posts all the time on the video. She said she didn't know you. I don't know if you can hear her in the background or not, but that's quite funny. I stopped with my own birthdays years ago. After a certain point, it starts to feel like more. Yeah, it is a countdown. You know, that's why I stopped mine. I don't want to know. It has really no impact in my life. I've got my little one in here. I got my significant other one in there. I got the puppy dog. Well, the puppy dog probably was little one, so he stole my dog. The guitar took the dog seat. So I don't need to worry about the actual date. It's good to see Jerry. Oh, Jerry, you're right. Now you're only 44. You hit the 50 thing, you count backwards. That's going to be our story, and we're going to stick to it. I'm getting a little hoarse, so I'm going to take a quick drink, guys. So it was Friday night. We normally don't stream on Friday night, but if you're new and you wasn't in the chat earlier, Devastator and I, the last 2 nights, have been doing tests. We got on Skype. We were doing FaceTime on Skype, and he was helping me go through all the parameters on OBS. And we're both newbies, guys. But these 2 newbies got this thing working. And we actually got the guitar working. We got the SM57 working. We got the Mauve working. So I promised 1 upgrade a week. Well, this week we got 3 upgrades, because notice we actually have a full screen this week. That was an upgrade. We actually have the SM57 separated from the Mevo cam. So this week you're not hearing both mics. You're only hearing the SM57. And we actually do have the guitar up and working. So I don't know how many people are new in the chat that didn't hear the guitar earlier. Post in there if you didn't hear the guitar earlier, and I'll do a little sound check so you guys can hear what it sounds like. And if I get 2 people that wants to hear it, we'll fire it back up. And granted, I do have a bad finger. I sliced my finger wide open right here. So I can't play too well, but we can at least get some tones. He wants a plexi. Well, I want a plexi. I want a nice one. Well, actually, I'll take I would even take an old Super Lead, something like that, a Plexi, JCM 800. I'd take it. You know, another amp, guys, you're going to laugh. Sometimes they call it gunning. You're gunning for something. I'm looking for about a 69, 1970 Super Reverb or a Pro Reverb Fender. I'm kind of got my eyes looking out there, looking for a nice one. So if anyone knows where there's a nice one, I don't want to beat up one. I want a nice one. I'm thinking about purchasing one, along with everything else that I'm thinking about. I have a we got one on the guitar sound, and I'm going to say that's Pentagore. Yeah, I know you've posted a couple different on some videos and stuff. I don't know if you've been in the live streams before or not. I think you have been. And we got Daniel. I just saw Daniel came in. I can't hear you in there. I'm scrolling down. Yeah, Red Eye. I have a Firefly Rick bass coming Friday. Oh, I saw those, the Rickenbacker type bass. Yeah. Well, I made a comment on one of the videos when Firefly brought the FFMN Eddie Van Halen striped model back in. I was going to get one. Last night they posted it. It might have been earlier, but I checked about 6:30 or 7. They had some, and they were out of stock this morning. So, how many Fireflies? 40? Where do you see that? Red Eye, you have 40 Fireflies. We may need a list of these 40 Fireflies. I think I may have had, when I was doing all the reviews, I may have had, I'm going to guess probably 18 here. But I also had Van Goghs, I had Leo James, I had a couple other models, but I probably had 18 Fireflies at one time, along with 2 or 3 Valgoas and some other things. Oh, I was going to say he's got 4. You got a typo. Okay, 4? Yeah, we have since thinned the herd, and last year, well, it was actually the end of 2023, the beginning of 2024, we did probably 50 guitar reviews in like a year. I didn't really expect it to take that much time to roll that inventory over to recoup the money. So we started slowing down on the end of 2024 on the guitar reviews, simply because with a small channel like this, YouTube doesn't pay that well. So it's really hard to be able to buy the guitars, review them, and then resell them. And we do have enough guitars right now to review. I've talked to a couple guys. There are some guitars coming in from subscribers. They are coming. There's 2 of them coming. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but 2 subscribers are sending guitars in. But I personally, right now, here, waiting for review, there's 15 guitars. Brand new 15 guitars. Some of them are not budget cars. Some anywhere from $300 up to $1,500 price level guitars. There's 15. So we have plenty of guitars to review, plus with what the subscribers are sending in. And then we've got some goodie boxes right here that came today. We're going to do some real short, quick reviews on some accessories. Got a little bit of work to do on the Firefly that you see sitting over here. Got some strap locks to do. this weekend, do a quick video on that. Hopefully get some stuff rolling for you guys on that. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm not. That's what I was saying earlier about it becoming work. I don't want to burn myself out. And if you didn't see me read your comment, that's because Linnell's in the other room yelling it back out to me for me to hear it. Yeah, Red, I got bad spelling too. If you go into the other chats, I go to other live streams. If you I look at some of my responses before I actually look at it. I got a bad case of dyslexia sometimes. Really bad at that. It's no big deal here, man. Don't worry about it. Devastator, how many do you have? I know you've got quite a few guitars. I can tell. Yeah. I don't, as far as my personal guitars that I play, I'll be honest with you guys. I have really two guitars that I've been playing the most I've been playing this Firefly right here the most lately because it's been reviewed. But I was playing my new Squire and my Kramer Night Swan the most. And then if it wasn't those two, I was playing my Fender FMT. They seem to be getting the most rotational play. I'm getting ready to probably put the Fender FMT away. And I'm thinking about breaking out. I don't know if you guys, put in the chat if you know what this guitar is. Squire. Did you know Squire made a custom shop guitar? They did. Squire made a custom shop guitar. Now I'm going to let you all guess. I have a Squire custom shop guitar. It's about 20 years old. It's been about 20 years since Squire did it. I'm going to see if anyone can guess the model number of this Squire.
Daniel has 2 Fireflies. Devastator has 1 Firefly. He has 10 guitars and 2 basses.
Okay. So you only have, Devastator, you only have the 1 Firefly that you got off me that I did the setup and all the fretwork on? Yeah, that's the purple one. That is an awesome guitar. That guitar and that purple Les Paul that Firefly made, those two guitars, in my opinion, were the best playing Fireflies we've had on the channel. Both of those guitars just played awesome. I love those guitars. Now, as far as sound, I'm going to say that this guitar plays really good too, but I think the purple one's just a little better. The sound and the feel that I get from this guitar, and it's the sound of the pickup, I like a little better. I like it a little better.
Red House says I'm going to pull the frets on this bass and make it fretless. So play that bass right here.
I've often wanted to try a fretless bass, and I guess your ears get in tune and you roll your finger on the fretboard back and forth to where you get the pitch correct. It would be a train wreck. If someone handed me a fretless bass and I had to play with other people, that would be a train wreck. There would be no way I would be fretting that neck properly to be in tune with my fellow musicians with fretted instruments. Maybe after an hour or two of playing and listening, I could get that muscle memory down and get that spot perfect. But I guarantee it would be a train wreck with me on a fretless bass.
Emo said a Squire Fender HM4 next year 2090s.
Very close. It's an M80. I don't know if you know the M80. It had Seymour Duncan design pickups in it. They actually had 3 or 4 custom shop models back then. No one wanted to pay the custom shop price for a Squire. You know, at that time, Fender was still USA made. I think they were just thinking about going to Mexico and some of the other clay. Squire was pretty much their. They may have already been doing the made in Mexico now that I think about it. If anyone knows, when Squire was doing the custom shop stuff, was Fender still 100% American made, or were they actually outsourcing? I don't remember if they were or they weren't.
Jerry said, do you know that First Act also goes higher in color as much as they
Oh yeah, First Act. Everyone sees them at Walmart. Used to be Kmart and Meyer. First Act actually does make some very nice instruments. I've seen some of their stuff. It's actually, if for someone that doesn't know, when you see a $1,200 First Act, you're kind of like, huh? That's at Walmart for $99 with the practice amp in the box as you're walking out the front door. But no, they actually do make some really nice stuff.
Curtain scale is 4 Ibanez Prestige RGs, 1 Firefly AP, and ERPW.
Yeah, Kurt, 4 Ibanez Prestiges. Which RG do you have, Kurt? Do you have the 650, 550, or was it the? Yeah, I think it's a 550. Let me get something to drink here. I always wanted the late 80s, early 90s RG. Of course, that's the one that's worth all the money right now. But that's the one I always wanted. And of course, everyone wanted the Ibanez Gem back in the day.
Curtain scale said
I mean, yeah, 5120. Yep. 50 years of stand-up bass fretless is all. Oh my gosh. So you did that for. Oh yeah, okay. If you've played it that long, then you've got it mastered. I would never be able to do it. The local music store, I don't know what they call them. The bass only has a body about that wide on it, and it's on like a little pole. Almost looks like what you would put a floor tom on. Sticks out of the bottom of the bass, and you just kind of hold it up. It's fretless. I know it's you plug it into an amplifier. I don't know what kind of bass you call that thing, but it's a stand-up. Every time I go in, I look at it. I'm like, that thing is so cool, but I would never be able to play it. If that makes it'd be something that I would have to just kind of play in the corner. I guess I could get it at some point, but it's pretty cool. If anyone knows what kind of bass, I guess it's still considered an upright bass. It's just a neck with a little tiny rectangle body with a pickup, a bridge, and you plug in the bottom, and it literally has like a foot peg that sticks out of the bottom that you just set it on the floor and you just stand up and play it. They're really cool looking. Also, I have 3 Fender American Jazz 5-string basses. I don't think I can get my jazz bass. I think it's buried.
he also has a Gibson Thunderbird bass.
Ooh, I want a Thunderbird bass. That's something that we've actually been looking. Well, I don't want the Gibson version. What I want, and everyone, you can start throwing stuff at the screen now. I want the Epiphone Pro 5 5-string. Not the stained one. I want the one with the 5-piece neck and the natural blonde sides. They're very hard to find. You can sometimes find the 4-string version, but I want the 5-string version. And it's not, it's called a Thunderbird or a Firebird. Firebird, I think it's called, on the Epiphone version. But you can't miss it because it's a multi-layered neck, and it's neck through that goes through the body with the glued on sides. That's the bass I'm looking for. I want that bass. So I guess I want the Epiphone and not the Gibson. Kurt says with active pickups. I assume. I don't know if the Pro 5. I can't remember if that one has. I think it does have active pickups. Now the bass I have. Again, I'm big on Squires that failed. I've bought some Squiers that were very expensive. I have a Squier bass that Squier tried to sell for $1,000. No one bought them. And I was good friends with, there was a music store in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It was called K&B Music years ago. And they just wanted to retire. And when they were selling out their store, he sold it to me well below what he paid for it. And it's a Squier 5-string jazz bass. The trick to this Squier is it has open machine heads on the top where the gears are open on the headstock. It also has, not designed by, but it actually has a full EMG pickup set with the blend, the bass, phase, phenomenal pickup system in this Squier. I'm going to have to get it out and do a video on that guitar. That was a guitar they made for only a year, and then they didn't sell, and Squier stopped building it. And I just know that it is considered the jazz bass, and it came from Squier with the EMG active pickups with the blend, the bass. It's got a couple toggle switches. It's pretty elaborate. It's actually too fancy because you can get so many different tones out of it. It's too much stuff that you can get switched around. Sometimes it's nice just to plug in, turn up the volume, and select a pickup and go. But it's a nice bass. And Kurt, you might know what model that is. I may have to go in and get it now that I don't know if it's buried though is the problem. It might be buried. And then Jerry's like, I have a Bias FX1, just wondering if it's worth purchasing.
He's talking about looking out if anybody had,
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jerry. I'm kind of coming in on the chat.
he's asking if anyone uses native instrument guitar rig software.
Native? I haven't, Jerry. Like I said, I'm still kind of stuck in the old school. And if you guys watch my videos, I still run a rack mount tube amplifier system. I'm not going to say it's all 80s. I'm going to say most of my rack is late 80s, early 90s rack equipment. I am just now really over the last 3 years or 4 years really getting back into music. And what I've seen is there's been a tremendous, like you're saying, native software, plugins. Music it's went so far, it's actually scary. I can see where, Kurt was talking about his DAW system, using plugins. I used to have a rack of stuff behind me, Eventides and Digitech processors, noise gates, compressor limiters, mic, preamps, all tubes, this, that, and, AD or AD to DA converters because you were going from ADAT and the ADAT sounded harsh, so you ran it through a tube sweetener to get the harsh sound from it. Nowadays, you've got a really high-powered computer. You have an interface. Now, some of these interfaces do get expensive. But the way I'm looking at it is, even if you consider a high-priced interface and buying a nice plug-in software, I don't see where it would be as costly as going out and buying an Eventide. I mean, I remember when the band bought our Eventide, and it was sent out on an aux send for effects, and then come in on another channel. We would use like aux 1. We'd go out to the Eventide. We would return that to maybe channel 24 and 25. And then we would blend that effects back into like a sub bus, like bus 1 and bus 2. If that makes any sense to the old schoolers. I know we paid $4,500 for that Eventide. And I don't even remember which one it was. But that was just one rack mount effect. It's crazy. Even the budget guitars, it's crazy what the dollar buys now. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, wow, this is substandard. And then I got to take a couple stops back and go, okay, it's a $200 guitar. It's phenomenal what they've been able to do with these $200 guitars. It's phenomenal what I paid for this Yamaha. And shout out to Sweetwater. The day I opened this box, I went to Yamaha's website to put my firmware on my computer. Yamaha had it for $550. Well, I had just spent like $100 more at Sweetwater for it. Called my rep at Sweetwater and said, hey, I was downloading the software for my Yamaha, and the Yamaha site says this is $550. And he goes, yeah, that's what they are. And I said, well, that's not what I paid for mine. And he looked it up, and I bought mine the day before it went on sale. So they credited me the amount. I think that's cool. They don't have to do that. Just because I came in, I bought it. I agreed to buy it at that price. I didn't have to click buy now, but I agreed to buy it at that price. For me to call back and say, look, I can get it here, and they honor that, that's kind of cool. And I qualify that because I agreed to the original price. I clicked buy now. But they still honored that it's a 30-day window you have. If you find it cheaper somewhere else, you call them, and they'll do it. I think that's cool. I need to get another drink. You're using the Avid rack? Yeah. I don't know how many people are still using ADATs. I kind of seriously doubt that there's really anybody out there using ADATs because it's tape. Just the fact of rewinding and fast. The new hard disk stuff where you can literally just go in, do your cut, your edit, piece it together. I couldn't even imagine doing cuts and gluing tape together. Used to do it. Used to do it with the reel-to-reel stuff. You glue the tape together. I couldn't even fathom that now with even my simple system that I have here at the house. It's so far advanced compared to even, $10,000 or $20,000 back in the late '80s. What that would buy you. Like I said, I paid. I know it was like $6,000 for that TSR8, that Tascam reel-to-reel machine. Things were just very costly, and when you bought something, we bought one Neumann microphone for recording, and I don't even remember how much it cost. I just remember saying, we don't need it, we don't need it, we don't need it, we don't need it. That thing was really crazy, stupid expensive. But once I heard it recorded in a soundproof room with the vocals and the clarity of that Neumann, or someone call him Neumann, you can't, well, there might be something now. Back then, there was nothing to compare to a Neumann. That was the microphone. And the significant other's right here again, so I'm going to...
Jerry said, thinking of just getting a lunchbox head and building a 2 to 12 cab. Back in the day, I worked for PV building cabs.
Jerry, you work for Peavy? Did he really say he worked for Peavy?
Yeah. He said the oldest gear he has is a 70s Aero reel.
What years did you work for Peavy, Jerry? I am learning the nitty gritty here, and curious minds, this guy wants to know, because I have a 412 Peavy cabinet that I love over here, and it's loaded with greenbacks, and it has the gold binding, and they only did that, I think, on 3 amplifiers. The Peavy Butcher came with this cabinet, the Peavy VTM 60, and the Peavy VTM 120 came with this cabinet. This cabinet was paired with a Peavy Butcher. So, did you work there during the Peavy Butcher years?
He said 93, 94-ish.
Oh, nope. That was, you were after that, because the Butchers would have been early 80s, mid 80s. So when you were there, mid 93, 94, you were probably building a lot of the, what were the Classic 30, the Classic 50. The Classic 50, I think you could get in a 212, or you could get it in a 410 model. That was an awesome amp. The Classic 50 410 Tweed. That amp does not get the respect the amp deserves. That is a nice, well, actually, the 212 one's a nice amplifier as well. And I think they actually made, you could buy the PV Classic 410, and they had an extension cab with a 115, if I remember. So you could have the 115 and the 410s with the PV Classic, if I remember correctly.
He said he mainly built 4x12 for 5150.
Oh, so that was, I'm going to assume those were the Sheffield loaded cabinets. And I am going to smoke because I am a smoker. I'm waiting on Jay to respond. Now, I've played the Sheffield drivers that PV made. I personally never had a problem with the Sheffields. I thought the Sheffields sounded fine. That's just me. I don't have any cabinets here with Sheffields in them, but I thought the Sheffields were fine.
He said he built the cab for old wood.
So you built the carcasses and someone else loaded the drivers, I'm assuming? Do we have an ashtray in there, hon? I'm assuming Jerry left me and went to paint. Yeah. Well, it's a plant, so it's a production line. So you were doing the main carcass part of the build. That's cool. But I'm gonna say since that was the 5150, I think at that time frame, I think they were using Sheffield on the drivers. I could be wrong about that. If anyone knows when they were using the Sheffields, put in the chat. I'm pretty sure that was the Sheffield era. They had there for a while. They were trying to break away from the Black Widow stuff in the mid 80s, and they were actually loading some G12 Celestians in their cabinets. Then they come out. They had the Sheffield. And they actually had another driver, not the Sheffield. Applied Media Research had a driver. And when they bought out AMR, they got their speaker development and also got their board development equipment. And then that's when the Black Stripe Transnova stuff started happening with PV. That was all AMR stuff. It was Audio Media Research. Look them up. They made phenomenal stuff in the early 80s. PV bought them and brought all that tech in, and that was the trans tube. That whole trans tube circuit was AMR. And that's still one of the best solid state amps you can buy, is that little red stripe. It's I guess it's the PV Bandit red stripe. And it'll have a little triangle on it. And that triangle is AMR's signature logo. And they put the PV through it. They kind of mixed it. It was pretty cool. And built from raw wood left me, PV Red Eye was way ahead of their time. Those companies seem to have never make beyond third generation. We're going to see what PV can do. I don't think PV will ever come back until the generation, my generation and the generation after me, move on. We know what, I'm not going to say Heartland PV did it, but the person that was running the plant that promised that they were going to stay in America and did all this stuff for the PV employees, and then came in on a Sunday night and put chains around the doors and didn't call anyone, The employees come to work and they couldn't get in the plant, and there's a big note, you no longer have a job. That left a bad taste. Even in music stores, their vendors didn't like it. No one, the people purchasing the product didn't like it. I think it's going to take a little more time for Peavey to flush that down the pipe to where people like me don't remember it or can overlook it and say, okay, it was a mistake. If they brought that back to the United States, they could have. They just re-released the Peavey Vandenberg. Reopen your USA plant and make the Vandenberg in the United States just like you did before. Start there. Maybe make a couple of your nicer amps, the 6505 or something, make an American version. And try to get your American product line and then also have your import line. They didn't do it. They're still outsourcing the Vandenberg and they want to charge $3,000 for it. For $3,000, I'm sorry, I want a new Peavey Vandenberg, but at $3,000, it needs to be made in the United States. I'm not buying an import from Peavey for $3,000. I just can't. Can't do it. Yeah, Red Eye says the kids just want the money. And I get it. I get why Paul Reed Smith went to import. Paul Reed Smith makes more money on an SE at $800, physical money, clear money, over a core. I know he does. They're based an hour and a half from where I live. I know what they pay their people. I know what the taxes in Maryland are. I know what the cost of doing manufacturing in that state and that area is. They can't survive there unless they charge just a phenomenal amount of money. He would rather sell you an import. He's going to raise the price of the S2s because that's partial American, as I understand it, and partial import. It's like a mix. And the core, and push you into that import. I'm not saying he's going to stop making American-made products, but he's going to push you into that import because it's easier for him. Everyone does it. I think the only company that doesn't do it is Gibson. Gibson's the only company that doesn't make an import with their badge. They still have Epiphone, but they don't make a imported Gibson. Fender makes an imported Fender. Well, I take that back. Kiesel. Kiesel does not have an import, I don't think. If y'all can think of another brand that doesn't have an import that's still 100% American manufactured, I'm thinking amplifiers. The last 100% component sourced and built amplifier that I can remember would be Dave Hafler. And that's been years ago. Now, even if it's assembled in America, the tubes are outsourced from Russia, or the transformers are from China, or something else. The potentiometers, something's being outsourced and brought in and assembled here. It's not 100% American made. Kurt says Peavey Vandenberg guitars are awesome. Do I need to go get a Vandenberg? Would you like to see a Vandenberg, Kurt? Because this guy's got one. I love my Vandenberg. Not tooting my own horn, but I love my Vandenberg. But I have a Peavey Nitro from I believe mine's an 87. I keep calling it an 89. It's either an 87 or an 88. Nitro Active. That guitar plays as good as my Vandenberg. And I actually have more playing time on the Nitro. That's the guitar that I played out live with. That was my go-to guitar. And I'll get caught up on the comments again. Jerry, Jerry's talking to Devastator. Red Eye, I have a PVT60 bought in the early 80s. Now, I know some of the T models had a case with a built-in amplifier. It was a big, huge case, and it had like a little built-in amplifier. And I don't know if your T60's got that little built-in amplifier or not. You'd plug your case in, you plug the guitar into the case, and you could jam. It was really cool concept. Remember when they come out? The Vandenberg. Yeah, I don't know. I think I showed the Vandenberg on my first stream. It's back in the other room. I had a poll up for a long time on doing a retro review on some guitars. And I know one of those guitars won, and I never got around to actually doing the review. I can't remember which guitar I was supposed to review now. No amp in the case. Do you remember those cases, Red Eye? Did you ever see one? Because if I remember, the case was kind of rectangled, and then on the one end, it kind of chamfered down. Like halfway through the case, it was like rectangle and then chamfered. And the handle was kind of right at the chamfer. If I remember, it was a big, heavy, thick case. And right where the guitar went through the body, on the neck support, that open area there, they actually had a little built-in amplifier in them. Yeah, type it in, PV amplified case, and I'm sure there'll be pictures of it or something on YouTube. They were, I mean, it wasn't anything. You weren't going to play a stadium with it, but you could go to a friend's house and plug it in, and you know, it was cool for what it was. All right. Well, I'm going to put my headphones on because we got some new people. And remember, guys, I have a hurt finger, so I'm not going to play that much. I want to try to get my finger to heal. I've already opened the wound up pretty good from playing, so I don't want to damage it too much more than I already have. And we're doing this without an amplifier. All that you're hearing now is this guitar straight into a Line 6 HX Stomp. We're using a cab, simulated cab amp, and a cab IR directly into the Yamaha AG08. And of course, I like hair music, so I tried to program the best hair sound that I could. Every time you go through all this stuff, it changes the sound on the end. So this is my first live stream with this setting. I'll go back and listen to the live stream and I'll make some tweaks. But this is what I come up with. I don't know what you guys think of that tone, but that's my first attempt at modeling a modified Marshall type 80s hairbound type sound. And I have to use my headphones since I have an open mic. If I feed the Yamaha into my Mackie, into my control room monitors, I get a big feedback loop. So I'm going out of the monitor send to the headphone so I can hear it, but there's no amplified signal. All that sustain is the guitar. So it's not the guitar itself in the room. There is no guitar signal or sound in the room whatsoever. I find that amazing. It's amazing that you don't have that resonant cabinet over here in the corner belting out that tone. It's coming back into the guitar, helping that sustain. You're getting that sustain with a modeler. Is it a tube amp? Does it sound as good as a tube amp? No, I don't think it does. I can hear the difference. Is it worth lugging a 500-pound rack amp and 2 4-speaker cabinets to a gig if they got a nice front house sound system? Nah. I'm taking that with my power supply and a cord and my guitar, and I'm just going to send a cable up to front of house, and I'm going to ask for my guitar signal and the monitor in front of me, vocals, and the drums. I'll be able to hear the bass. No problem. That's all I'll need. Much easier. And I think it's going to work better for the live streams versus my rack, because that means I'm going to have an open mic in front of my cabinet, and I may end up with feedback issues. So I think doing what we're doing right here in I'm not recording to edit later, doing a live production, I think this is the bee's knees. For me right now with the equipment I have, I think this works well. You guys tell me what you think of the tone, and I'll make some tweaks and try to get it a little better for next week. Well, I detuned the chorus. It's funny that you said that. A lot of people comment that I use a lot of chorus. And you're right, the 80s, you got to have that thick chorus. I did detune the chorus a little bit because on my end, it sounds like there's more chorus. When Devastator and I did a test stream earlier, I went back and listened to it, and I did notice the tone and sound that you are getting doesn't sound as driven, and the chorus doesn't sound as thick. So it actually sounds like what I'm hearing here, I might be picking up some gain in the monitor output to the headphones, or my gain stage here, or I may have something in OBS cut back and it's taking some of the edge off downstream from the mixer. I did notice that it didn't sound as gritty when I went back and listened to the first video. But I'll go back and listen to this one, and I'll try to first chase down where that change is taking place. I don't want to have one sound here and have another sound. It always happens, but you want to try to minimize that. What I was hearing was pretty different, what I'm hearing in my head versus what I heard on the playback on YouTube. The point is, I just want something that sounds decent. I didn't want a noisy, amplified guitar, if that makes sense. I didn't want something so overly distorted that it sounds like rubbish, and that I didn't want a lot of background noise from an open Marshall with all the hiss on the cabinet. It sounded clear. So if I can find a comfortable medium there, it'll be good enough for live streams. I'm happy with it. Yeah, the Line 6 Spiders, I never got to actually play a Spider. I hear hit and miss things about them, Jerry. I hear some people swear by them, thought they were the greatest thing ever made, and I heard other people say that they were made poorly and broke easy. I don't know. I never had the opportunity to play through one. I did play through a Catalyst when I was up at Sweetwater in Indiana, and if you put a Katana and a Catalyst side by side, and I had access to changing the levels like with a computer, because those amps, some of the parameters you can't change with the knobs on top. If I had a way of changing some of the presets, the amount of decay or the thickness, believe it or not, I think I'm going to go towards the Katana. I think the Katana just has a little more realistic sound. Trying to emulate a tube amp over the Catalyst. It's just my opinion. You guys can disagree if you guys have done them side by side. I thought the Katana just sounded just a little bit better. They're both emulating tube amps, but I thought the Katana just, maybe it's a feel. The emulation when you strike the note, the legacy or whatever that's called, it didn't seem as bad. It seemed more reactive as you played it versus the Catalyst.
He said it's worth the price. He's playing for 6.
Yeah. Crank it to 11. What movie is that from? Crank it to 11. My amp goes to 11. It's louder, man. What was that? I forget what movie that was. That was funny. I can't remember now. I don't remember what that was from. Is the Line 6 more expensive than the Katana, Jerry? I thought they were the same price. I know right now, if you go to Reverb Outlet, if you guys want an inexpensive amp, I'm thinking, like I just said, the Katana sounds better. But you can get a 12-inch combo. It's the Line 6 Catalyst. I just know it's the 12-inch. It's $199. They were $400. It's 50% off. They're just blowing them out.
He said it's at auction for $10. The Line 6.
I can't hear you in there.
He said the Line 6 is at auction for $10.
Line 6 is on auction for $10.
He said
What? I am going to get better at being able to communicate and read the live stream. I'm still struggling with the delay, because what I'm saying right now, you guys won't hear for about 11 or 12 seconds. So it's hard to watch the chat, and it's all there's a delay on your all's responses to where I'm actually at. So I'm still getting a feel for that. And Kurt says his problem with the Boss Katana is the build of the unit. Very cheap. Yeah, well, he answered it all. He said cheap, like fire, you get what you pay for. And then he also answered it's Spinal Tap.
Jerry said the same thing.
Jerry said the same thing. Who beat? Oh, Jerry beat you, Kurt. Game over. Jerry beat you, Spinal Tap. That's me jumping around on the chat. I lose track of everything. Wow, auction for $10. Yeah, you've said that before, Jerry, shopping the Goodwill. Our Goodwill isn't very good up here. It looks like, how to describe our Goodwill. It looks like someone released a hurricane in the middle of it, and the clothes are like hanging on the shelves like this and stacked on top, and they've just got stuff in boxes going down the walls. You got to dig through the boxes. It's a horrible store. Actually, there's the one in Winchester. The worst one's in Charlestown, West Virginia, which is about an hour from here. I walked into that one. It looks like a bomb went off in it. Oh, it's online. I didn't know. I didn't even know you could do Goodwill online. That's a new one. Yeah, it seems to be a thing. I never knew. I didn't even know you could do Goodwill online.
Jerry said he shops in the Florida, Georgia area.
I'm just going back through the chat and making sure we haven't missed anybody. I don't think I did a shout out to John S. if he's still in the chat. That's the only one that I see. Oh, I did miss Blue Mox. I'm scrolling back through the chat. It was a while ago. If he's still in the chat, I'm sorry. I was yakking, didn't see that you came in. Or actually, I think I actually did read your comment because that's about the HM4 Strat that we were talking about, the Squire. So I apologize that I didn't mention your name. I'm trying to get better at this, guys. Hang in there. I'll get it eventually. Yeah, I've seen some really good deals too on some other sites. And it seems like the shipping, when you get the stupid deal, the shipping tends to kill you. I picked up my Egnator, and I like my Egnator. It's not a Fender sounding amp. It's not a Marshall sounding amp. It has its own sound. It has a very, I don't want to say bright. The clean channel is articulate. I guess it's bright, but it's very smooth, and you can take the edge off of it. So the clean channel on the amp is very Telly Strat friendly. When I plug a Les Paul into it, since it's more that mid bright focused mid, I've noticed the Les Paul kind of loses its bottom end sparkle, if that makes any sense, on the Egnator. Now on the gain channel, because I have a Renegade, it's a 2-channel amp, the gain channel is very Marshall-less, I guess. If you took a Laney and a Marshall and you kind of mixed them, it made it a little dirtier sounding, that would be kind of what the gain channel is on that amp. I picked that up. That was a reverb listing through an individual, and I drove up to get it, so there wasn't any shipping on that. If you can find them through individuals like that, sometimes you can find good deals. And I picked up this, you can't see it on cabinet. Now, Jerry worked at Peavey. I don't know if Jerry, did you make any of the Peavey Penta cabinets? Do you remember the Penta? I have a Peavey Penta here. It has the Celestion Peavey Penta drivers in it. Phenomenal cabinet. I got that. I don't know if that was Marketplace. I think it was Marketplace. So we're constantly looking at Marketplace, Reverb Outlet. Believe it or not, Sweetwater too. I go there. Sweetwater prices through Gear Exchange. That seems kind of high. And I've seen some really good deals on the used in on Guitar Center. And I think I pointed this out before, but Guitar Center, if you don't like it, you can just take it back to your local Guitar Center and they credit you for it. So that makes it kind of nice if you live next to a Guitar Center. And Red Eyes saying they went through this in the late 70s with solid state amps. I was buying every tube amp I could afford. I could buy Fender Champs all day for $100. Yeah, that Fender Champ for $100 isn't gonna be around now. I remember, well, I could shoot myself for it. It was either a late 60s or a 70s Fender Twin Reverb. And I sold that in a custom shop, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Gibson Explorer. I sold both of them. I think it was right around $1,200. Yeah. I don't even want to qualify on how stupid I am for doing that. One, the Fender Twin Reverb, even though it was a silver face, they could say the silver faces wasn't as good as the black faces. I'm sorry, that the Twin Reverb was an awesome amplifier. It's 100 and some watts of just cut your head off clean. And the Gibson Explorer I had a factory mounted Gigsby, played like butter. The only reason I didn't like the guitar is it literally weighed like 12, 13 pounds. With that Gigsby on it and that huge body, I ended up putting this, I had this big wide guitar strap that I would put on to hold that guitar. And at the end of the night, it was literally just cutting into me from the weight of that guitar. It was just so heavy. But it did play like butter. And I was getting into more hair music, so I wanted a real, like Kaler or Floyd Rose. And the Gigsby just wasn't designed for that kind of music. So I packed up my Fender, I packed up my Gibson, and I sold them for what I would consider pennies on the dollar now. But we learn. Jerry's like, I got stacks of wood and assembled cabinets. Yeah, mainly the 5150. Yeah. Was that stuff processed on a CNC machine, or were you all using a panel saw to cut the sheet goods? I would say in the 90s they were probably running an automated panel saw and not a CNC. I could be wrong about that. Okay, guys, I don't mean to cut it short tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming into the live chat. We've made some progress, and I'm going to continue to work on the settings here and try to make things a little better. I do plan on doing some recording tomorrow. If you guys want to do maybe we should actually, because I wanted to put these locking nuts on a guitar. We could do that, or maybe open this box up that's behind me over here during a live stream tomorrow night. Y'all can type in and see what you guys want to do. If not, I'll do an open box on it. Yep, we're still going to do the live show tomorrow, even though we did one tonight. I don't know how long we've been on tonight, because I don't have all my windows open in OBS, so that's something I need to figure out. Like, I have a separate YouTube studio window open on the right hand side of my screen and OBS on the left. I should be able to see my chat through OBS, but I can't. Still working out the bugs. I can't open the box tonight. Yeah, we're gonna do it tomorrow. I'll either open the box on the live stream tomorrow, or we'll put some lock straps on the Firefly Les Paul with the Floyd Rose tremolo back there. We'll do one of the two. Probably do the open box. That sounds like it'd be more fun than putting strap lock buttons on an LP. But I'm going to guess it's probably going to be about 8 o'clock, guys. So leave some comments down below, guys. It really does help YouTube. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up. And if you're watching and you didn't want to subscribe because you didn't want to put a post in, go back, look at my other videos. I want to earn your subscription if I haven't already. And this channel's for everybody. That's what the chat's for. I say that in every video. You guys make the channel. I review it, we talk, you all post, and it's your all's posts that really make the difference. That's what makes the channel, are the subscribers and the viewers. So hopefully you guys will do that for me, and I'll talk to you all and see you tomorrow night. Thanks guys again. Bye.